Hey everyone, welcome back. We're starting a new series on our channel. We're diving into Splatoon Raiders. And this is the fourth game that Nintendo has released in the Splatoon series, and this one is a Switch 2 exclusive. And this also happens to be the first game in the Splatoon series that we've ever played. So let's load up our paint guns and head into Splatoon Raiders, and first up here we have an intro cutscene. So we start off the game in this helicopter flying to the Erpp Island. And in the game we are playing as the mechanic who is piloting this helicopter towards the islands in search of treasure. On board with us are three familiar characters. Yep, it's the group Deep Cut from Splatoon 3, Shiver, Fry, and Big Man, and we'll learn more about them later. And as we learn from this news article that these guys found, the islands were previously hidden. Yep, they were sunken underwater until a tectonic shift revealed them in the ocean. And that's where the treasure is, so we're going to head there. But of course, something is going to happen to prevent us from just simply going down and grabbing the treasure. Yep, we're going to get caught in a storm and crash. And we've included the rest of the intro sequence to this game in the guide, but if you want to jump ahead to the start of the gameplay, check out the video description. We've added timestamps for all of the key moments and objectives in this section of the game, and we'll be doing that for all the guides in this series too. Otherwise, you can sit back and enjoy the crash landing sequence. And if you do find this guide helpful, we encourage you to check out our channel, Derek's Gaming. We have all kinds of guides for all different types of games, and we are excited to be including the Splatoon series now in our library. Yep, so that's how we start off the game. We have crash landed on the Erpp Island. And judging by the crash site here, we will not be flying off of this island anytime soon. And that pretty much sets the plot for this game. We are stranded on this island with the Cut crew, which means we will be exploring these Erpp Islands, and this game is pretty much a roguelike game where you can continue to find things to improve your character's abilities. And the gameplay itself should be very familiar to those that are familiar with the Splatoon series. Yep, it's a first-person shooter, but instead of using traditional weapons, we're using paintball guns. Okay, so a month of time has passed and we've converted our crashed helicopter into a floating barge. Yep, this serves as our home base that we'll return to in between missions to do all kinds of things like upgrade our character, upgrade our weapons, and find new gear. You will also find this game has a lot of customization to it, and the first thing that we're going to do is customize our character. Yep, we're going to pick a look for our mechanic. First thing we're going to do is select what our character sounds like. And there's not much variation here. It's just a bunch of different sounding mumbles that kind of all sound the same, to be honest. Next up, let's select a hairstyle. We're going to choose the one on the bottom right, the one with the fish on top of it. Then we'll select some eyebrows, and then we're also going to select our complexion. We're going to go with a tan since we are on the beach. And finally, eye color. We'll select orange. It matches the fish that's on our head. Okay, we have locked in our mechanic style. It's looking pretty sweet. Now let's find out what's going on with the crew. So it's been 31 days since we crashed on the island, and we have built a lot in our home base here. Yep, we have a lounge. We do not have an arcade yet, so I suspect we will be building an arcade pretty soon in the future. Yep, it sure seems like from this dialogue that in addition to being able to upgrade our character's weapons and equipment, we will also be able to upgrade the home base too. Yep, being a mechanic should give us the skills to add all kinds of things to this place. Yep, so it looks like this game also incorporates a lot of elements of the survival game genre, where we can find materials when we're out in the world and then bring them back to build things in our home base. So that sounds pretty cool. Looking forward to being able to do that too. Okay, so I think that intro did a pretty good job of explaining what this game is all about. Yeah, sounds pretty cool. It's like a mashup of a roguelike, first-person shooter, and survival game all in one. Okay, now it's time for some gameplay. We're heading to the first island. It is Pantree Beach. Yep, and this name Pantree is interesting. It's a play on the word pantry, like the one that you would find in a kitchen, and that might explain why there are utensils like forks that are poking out of the ocean here, which I am sure will be relevant to the plot, and we'll find out why later on in the game. Okay, let's get started and start exploring Pantree Beach. Yep, this island is basically one big tutorial. It will teach us how to play the game. So let's talk about the controls for this game. They are pretty standard for a first-person shooter. You can use the left control stick to move around. The camera can pan horizontally with the right control stick and vertically by using the motion controls. The Y button can be used to recenter the camera, and then we have the trigger buttons. The left one will turn us into a squid, which we can use to move around really fast inside the ink and suck up more ink to refill our tank. Then of course we have the right trigger, which we use to fire our weapon. And you may have noticed we've been picking up these mysterious shards all across the island. Yep, that is the first of many different types of materials that we will be collecting in the game to build things. Yep, these controls feel very intuitive and should be immediately familiar to anyone who's ever played a first-person game, or actually any 3D game, really. Now let's talk about the ink. So anytime that you shoot your weapon, it will splatter ink all over the ground, and if you stand in the ink that you've created, you're fine, you're safe. If you stand in the ink, however, that an enemy has created, you will take damage, so you want to always try to cover the ground with your own ink. And you can also use the ink to do things like ride up walls. So if you spray ink on the side of this big wall here, you can turn into a squid and ride up it. And you can pass through small openings like this little hole in the wall here by, again, putting ink on the ground, turning into a squid, and squeezing underneath of it. You can also drop down through grates like this by turning into a squid as well. Yep, the squid form is quite handy. You can move really quickly when you're in that form, and you can also get through a lot of tight spots. Okay, we're just about up to the end of Pantree Beach, but first we're going to do a little surfing. Yep, anytime you see one of these wooden boards floating in the water, you can hop on it and start riding the waves. And one other thing to mention, if you need to refill your tank with ink, you can do that while you're surfing by hitting the left trigger. Okay, in this final section, we're going to finally meet up with some enemies and start using our weapon. Yep, these enemies are called Salmonids, and there's many different types of them, and we will be running into them as we explore the islands. And there is another objective in the game tied to defeating enemies called research. And you'll see how that works in just a minute. Basically, anytime that you defeat an enemy of a new type, you will complete the research for it. So the first enemy that we're going to face off against is called a Smallfry. Yep, these guys are smaller salmonids that carry a frying pan as a weapon. And then we have these bigger guys too, also carrying a frying pan called Chum. Yep, and there we go, the research is completed for both of those different types of salmonids after defeating them. Okay, just up ahead are these treadmill ramps, and if we run up them and jump, we will pass through these squid rings and get some more of those mysterious shards. Yep, those squid rings look an awful lot like onion rings, don't they? Okay, over here on the right, we can get some more of those mysterious shards by making our way up this wall in squid form. Yep, and after even playing the game for this short amount of time, we can already tell the controls of the game and moving the character around, switching forms, and shooting things, it's all very smooth. Now, of course, we have not entered into a difficult fight yet, but just controlling the character in this first early stage is very intuitive and the learning curve is short. Okay, let's keep making our way through Pantree Beach. We're almost to the end. Up ahead here is a dock with another wooden board on it that we can do some more surfing. This time we can surf through some onion rings. Squid rings. And now it's time for the first mini-boss in the game. Yep, we're going up against the Salty Tongue. And as expected, being the first boss fight in the game, it is super easy. Yep, just run right towards it, take out the two little guys first, and then spam attack the boss, and you will defeat it with no problem at all. Yep, and there we go, Salty Tongue is defeated, and we have also completed the research for it. And now after defeating the first boss in the game, we also get to collect our first piece of loot. Yep, and look at that, it's a brand new gun, and there will be lots of new guns and weapons and equipment that we'll be finding throughout the game. This first one is a level 2 gun, one level above the one that we're currently using. And guns have all different kinds of abilities, and the higher the level of the gun, the more damage that it does. And as you will see later, there are other types of weapons that we can collect that do different types of special attacks. And in the spirit of all roguelike games, one of the best ways to make your character more powerful is to find better weapons and equipment. And I assume that there are two ways that weapons can drop. One is probably predetermined when you beat a boss like this, and then the others are random when you defeat any of the other creatures on the islands. Okay, we're coming up to the end of Pantree Beach, and at the end of the beach, we're going to find something special. Yep, just up ahead in this clearing here, we can see what appears to be an abandoned bot. And this bot's going to come in real handy, yep, once we repair it. So let's bring it back to the base, and then we'll see what it can do. Yep, it's going to give us a whole bunch of new abilities that we can use when we're exploring the island. Okay, so let's take a closer look at this bot and see what it's all about. Yep, the bot is basically a companion that comes with us as we do raids on the islands. And we can choose one of the 3 deep cut crew members to pilot the bot. Yep, so Shiver, Fry, and Big Man each have different abilities that they can use with the bot that help us to defeat enemies. Okay, so before we head off to the next island, we're going to first pick one of these 3 deep cut crew members to pilot the bot to come along with us. And as we mentioned, each of them provide a different ability when they're piloting the bot, so we'll see what those options are in a second, but first we're going to equip that new weapon that we just found on Pantree Beach. Yep, and this system is very similar to many games that you've played before. The higher the level of the weapon, the better that the weapon is. So the one that we found, like we mentioned earlier, is a level 2 weapon. And weapons have different types. The one that we found is a shooter. Later on, we'll find other types of weapons like brushes and even paint rollers too. And this new weapon that we have switched to does a little bit more damage and has a little bit better range as well. Okay, now let's shift our attention back to the bot and find out which one of our friends is going to pilot this thing for our next raid. And one other thing that the bot does unlock now is the world map feature in the game so that we can teleport to different raids on the different islands. So the next raid that we will be doing is Piel Coast on Erpp Island. And as we mentioned, for the next raid, the bot's coming with us, but we still don't know who's going to pilot the bot. So let's find out which one of these 3 is going to be coming along with us to Piel Coast. And it looks like it's going to be Big Man. Yep, and as we mentioned before, eventually all 3 of these characters can be selected to pilot the bot, and they do have different abilities, so we're going to first find out what Big Man's ability is when he is piloting the bot. Okay, so I think we're ready to head over to Piel Coast. How do we get there with the bot? Well, take a look. Yep, we got yeeted. Okay, we have gracefully arrived on the shores of Piel Coast, and now we're going to find out another feature of this bot. It has the ability to find crystals that are on the island. Yep, so this bot has a built-in radar to help us find all the treasure on the island. It will mark the location of all the large crystals that are on the island so we know which direction to head to find them. So we now have 3 markers in the sky. The 2 thin ones there on the left are for the large crystals on the island, and then that 3rd one is actually where the treasure's at. Okay, so now the goal here is pretty clear. We need to find all 3 of those crystals on the island and collect the treasure too. Alright, here we go. Let's start exploring the Piel Coast. We have Big Man and the bot coming with us, and the first thing that we're going to do is some more research. Just up ahead, we're going to encounter a new type of salmonid. These are called the Cohocks, and these guys do not pose much of a threat. Nope, they're just larger salmonids. Yep, they're carrying frying pans like the other ones, but they're really easy to take out. This area up ahead is covered in a bunch of that yellow ink that will damage us if we walk on it, so we do need to create our own path with our own ink so that we can safely get through it. Now it's time to learn about another ability that the bot has. Yep, it has something called a bot hop, which comes in real handy, and we will be using that a lot in the game. And as the name implies, the bot hop allows us to hop up into the air to reach areas that would otherwise be unreachable. It is also something that's great to use in battle. If you're getting swarmed by a bunch of enemies, you can use the bot hop to jump up in the air so that you're avoiding the enemies, and then you can shoot at them as you're floating back down. And you'll be seeing us use this technique a lot in upcoming battles. Just up ahead to the right is the first large crystal that we need to find, but first we're going to use the bot hop ability, yep, to hop through these onion rings. Now it's time to open up the first big crystal, and we need to use the bot to drill into the crystal to bust it open. Oh, and by the way, if the bot is ever far away and you need to summon it to you, just hit the X button and it will appear. Yep, all you need to do is put your target on top of the crystal, press the X button, and the bot will start digging into it and bust it open. And there we go, we got a whole bunch of mysterious shards. Okay, now it's time to go get the second crystal in Piel Coast. First, we're going to do a little surfing here. Don't forget, you can fill up your ink with the left trigger button as you're surfing. And the next crystal is guarded by a whole pack of Salmonids, so this battle is going to be a little bit tougher than what we've done so far, but I have a feeling that bot's going to come in real handy in this fight. Let's find out. Yep, so the bots come with a ultimate attack, a special attack ability, and you need to power them up with power eggs. Yep, so when you're fighting enemies now, these power eggs will spawn, and as you collect them, that meter on the left will start to fill up. And then once the bar is filled up, that means that the ability is charged and it's ready to use. And the one that Big Man has is called the Manta Dance. And since the game is teaching us how to use this ability for the first time, we get the bar filled for free and we can check out the Manta Dance ability. And it's pretty cool. You can do a high damage attack when you crash into it with the Manta Ray, and you can also shoot ink at the same time too. And then once the ability expires, you do need to start filling up the meter again by collecting those power eggs. At this point in the game, it does take quite a while to refill up the meter. We're assuming that there are faster ways to do it later on in the game with upgrades. Okay, we have taken out all of the enemies. Now let's go open up that second crystal on the island. Right in front of us here is a mega power egg. It's worth 100 power eggs, and I think bigger enemies will drop them, and it is a way to fill up your meter faster to do the ultimate attack with your bot. Okay, 2 crystals down, 1 to go. The last one has the treasure in it. We'll find it right across the water here. Let's go surfing again. And of course, you didn't think we were just going to be able to walk right up to that final crystal and drill it open. Nope, we're going to have to deal with this whole mess of Salmonids first. So you will notice in this fight, one thing the bot does very well is it does get the attention of the enemies. So you want to try to stay spread out between you and the bot so that you can get the shots off while they are focused on trying to attack the bot. And of course, try to grab as many of those power eggs as you can and see if you can fill up your meter to do the special attack, the Manta Dance, with your bot. And 2 other things that you want to keep an eye out for. Look on the ground. There's going to be a lot of yellow ink being spit out by that big guy right there. So be sure to keep painting over it with your... And last but certainly not least, stay out of the water. It does a ton of damage. Okay, phew, that was close. We've defeated the enemies. Now let's go open that third and final crystal and get our treasure. Okay, we have completed Piel Coast, we defeated all of the enemies, and we found the treasure too. But now we need to get off of the island, so how are we going to do that? Yep, we're going to have to rely on Fry and Shiver now to get us off this island. There is no giant crane here to pick us up and yeet us back to the home base. So let's see what they have up their sleeves. Okay, now we're back at the base thanks to the Master Mega Shark that Shiver controls. And Fry apparently has the ability to control moray eels, which both of those are very important to note because that is tied to the abilities that each of them can do when they're piloting the bot. Yep, so we already saw that Big Man has the Manta Dance ability when he is piloting the bot. Shiver and Fry also have their own special abilities. Of course, Shiver has one that involves a giant shark, and Fry has one that involves moray eels. And from this point on in the game, you can select any of the three that you want to bring with you whenever you do a raid on an island. Okay, let's not forget we still have a treasure chest to open to see what's inside and get our loot. But first we need to sit through some dialogue here where Shiver, Fry, and Big Man talk about Deep Cut. Now, I haven't played Splatoon 3, so I have really no idea what the backstory is here, but from what I can gather, they think they're in a band that's popular, but nobody's heard of them? I'm really not sure. Feel free to educate me in the comments if you want to. Okay, now let's go get our loot. Time to open up the treasure chest and see what's inside. And here we have a new equipment type called tanks. And when you equip a tank, you can then equip a gadget to go with the tank, and each of these gadgets have different types of special attacks that come with it. And as you will see in just a minute, these starter tanks give us the option of 3 different special unique abilities that we can use while we are in combat. So first we have the power tank, which allows us to equip gadgets that can overpower enemies, like this one here, the Splatchit. Then we have the speed tank, which allows us to move quickly and equip gadgets like the blast boost. And finally we have the tactical tank, which we can use with gadgets like the shot pot. Yep, you can slap down this robot sentry and it will start shooting enemies automatically for you. And the first one we're going to use is the power tank with the Splatchit gadget. And if you want to practice with the new gadget that you've equipped, you can use these target dummies here to take it for a test drive. Okay, now that we have our gadget equipped, it's time to start the next raid. Let's see where we are heading to next. Oh, and look at that. It looks like we're going to have a new partner coming with us riding the bot. This time it's going to be Shiver instead of Big Man. Yep, so at this point in the game, we do have the ability to switch the character that we want to have pilot the bot. And the way that we do that is we just need to head into the menu and change our bot buddy. So now we're going to switch from Big Man with the Manta Dance ability over to Shiver. And Shiver has the Shark Bite ability. Yep, get to use the giant shark now with the bot when we fill up the power meter. Okay, we're all set. I think it's time to head into our third raid now. We're headed to Blansh Seaway. Okay, once again, at the start of the raid, we're going to use the radar feature on the bot to find the location of all the treasures on this island. And it looks like the first one is just straight up ahead, so let's start heading towards it now. These plants are all over the island. When you jump near them, they will launch you high up into the air. Use the bot hop here to get up over this wall and then take out these new enemies, the Spinooks. Yep, these guys are pretty dangerous. Watch out for all that yellow ink that they're spitting on the ground and just take them out with your gun. Okay, the first crystal is just up ahead, and yep, it's guarded by a whole bunch of Salmonids. Take them out. And don't forget to make good use of that new attack that you have with the tank and gadget equipped. Yep, it can take out a lot of enemies in one shot if you time it right. And we have leveled up, and leveling up is another important way to improve your character. As you kill more creatures and gain experience, you will gain levels. And as you gain levels, you get more hit points and do more damage. Okay, now it's time to open up the first crystal on Blansh Seaway. Okay, let's keep going. Up ahead is another new type of salmonid that we have not encountered yet. These are called Salivators. Take care of this one to collect the research for it. And it's important to try and fight these guys from a distance. They do a spin attack. If you're too close to them, you will take quite a bit of damage. Okay, this section up ahead, there's a lot of water that we need to get across, and there are those plants again that we saw in the beginning of the stage where if we jump near them, it will launch us up into the air, and that's how we get across the water without taking any damage. Okay, the second crystal is just up ahead, and yep, no surprise, it's guarded by a bunch of Salmonids, and there's some new ones here too. These guys with a giant set of tongs in their hand called Tong Chum. Take them out to complete the research for that type. And now we just need to take out the rest of these enemies so that we can get to the second crystal. And once again, do not forget to use that new special attack that you have with your tank and gadget. It can take out a bunch of enemies at once, and it does do a lot of damage. Okay, now we have collected the first two crystals on Blansh Seaway. Now let's head to the third one that has the treasure in it. So we can see the third and final treasure all the way over there on the right across that big stretch of water. We need to hop and float our way across. So just like the plants, these rings, these spinning wispy rings here will help us float in the air as we jump across them. And we do not want to fall into the water because, yep, the water does a lot of damage. So just keep floating your way to the island to reach the treasure. Okay, we just have one last pack of Salmonids that stands between us and the treasure, so let's take them out. And there we go, we have cleared Blansh Seaway and collected the treasure. Now it's time for some more loot, so let's open up the treasure chest and see what we got. Looks like we got a briny scroll. Interesting. And we've also got something else too. What is this? Some sort of parts. Parts that look like they can be attached to something. So yep, some more upgrades for our character. So first, let's take a look at the briny scroll and see what that's all about. So it has a sketch on it, and it looks to be a description of what those mysterious shards that we've been collecting actually are. Yep, they're called Spiralite, named after the islands apparently that we've been exploring. And I am sure as we collect more of these, they will come in handy and we can use them to build stuff or maybe even upgrade our weapons and equipment too. And we also found some kind of parts too, and these parts are used to upgrade the gadgets that we have. Yep, this is a pretty neat feature. By equipping the parts onto our gadgets, we can add new abilities to those gadgets. And this is referred to in the game as tinkering, so you can select a gadget, and when you open up the gadget, you can see which parts you can add to it that give it new special abilities. So in our case, we are using the Splash It gadget, and we can increase the slash damage up of that ability and the vertical slash damage too. But there is a limit of 9 parts that you can apply to a gadget, so you want to pick the ones that work best for you. And apparently some gadgets, probably the more powerful ones, take up more than one slot. Yep, so as you can see, early on in the game, we've already discovered there are many ways to improve your character, whether it's through equipment, upgrades, or leveling up too. So it's really exciting to see as we progress in the game what we can do to improve our character, because it seems like the options are limitless. Okay, and now that we have upgraded our gadget with these new parts, why not take it for a test drive and hit these target dummies? Oh yeah, and look at that, we have a full meter. Let's see what that shark attack looks like. Yep, that looks like a pretty powerful attack. We'll keep that in mind for the next battle. Speaking of which, I think it's time for another raid, so let's head over to the bot and find out where we are headed to next. Okay, we're headed to the final raid on Erpp Island. Yep, we're headed to Scayl Buried Ruins. And in this raid, we're going to do our first boss encounter. Okay, it's time to head underground, and there are 2 sublevels that we need to make our way through. The first sublevel is a timed event. Yep, so the key here is to fill up the power egg meter by defeating these enemies and collecting the power eggs that drop from them. And we have 2 minutes to fill up the power meter by collecting those power eggs, plenty of time to do it. Okay, we did it. Not the cleanest of attempts, but we did manage to get all 1,000 of the power eggs that we needed to get to move on to sub-level 2. And in sub-level 2, we're going to face off against the thick-cut salty tongue boss. Yep, first boss fight in the game. And for the most part, this is a straightforward fight. There is only one special ability that you need to watch out for from this boss. It does this big ringed attack that you need to stay out of. Yep, we just need to run to the boss and start to deal damage to it. Watch out for this attack here with those big yellow rings. Do not stand in the middle of them and you will not take damage. And really the easiest way to defeat this boss is to keep filling up that power egg meter, and then when you have your big attack ready, unleash it on the boss and you will take it out almost in one shot. Yep, finished it off with the Mega Shark attack. So there we go, we have defeated the boss. We can go collect our treasure now and get some loot Yep, this is the best part about these types of games is getting loot, of course, and finding out what we've got and see how much better our character can become because of it. So now that we have defeated the boss in the Scayl buried ruins, the fog will now dissipate and it will open up the rest of the world for us to explore and do more raids. Yeah, so I feel like that pretty much completes the intro to the game. This first series of raids does a very nice job of introducing you to the controls and how to play the game, and then progressively explaining all the different mechanics and ways to upgrade your character. And there is one more upgrade path that is revealed after we clear these Scayl buried ruins. Yep, after we open up the treasure chest, we will get a two-fisted Salmonid, which is a relic. And with this relic, we can now do the mid-air jump ability, which can be used as an upgrade on all of our tanks. So that does bring us to the end of our first Splatoon Raiders guide, and our first impressions of this game are overwhelmingly positive. We had so much fun playing this first part of the game. Yep, so we're definitely excited to continue this series and do more guides on this game, and maybe even 100% complete it, if that's even possible. So that is a wrap for this guide. We hope you found it helpful, and if you did, please like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate the support. It does help our channel grow. Yep, so that is a wrap for this one. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we will see you at the next raid.